To the Boxer and Gerson guest line and bring in Steve Wyche, NFL Network's chief national reporter. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Wyche89. That's WYCHE 89. No relation to the great coach, Sam Wyche. But actually, I don't know that. Are you?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. We've been asked. Hey, we were asked that for years, but no.
All right.
Not unless he's hiding something from me.
I got you. Hey, where are you going to be this weekend, Steve?
I will be in studio on Sunday for our game day preview show, which streams on a lot of platforms on Peacock and Roku and Tubi. But I won't be at a game, which is what it is. The sign of the times. Gotcha.
Hey, what kind of shot do you give the Packers against the Niners on Saturday at Levi Stadium, 5:15?
I give them a shot. I mean, it's a longer, not a long shot, but they're playing great football right now, and if they get up on the 49ers early, they've got some momentum. They're running the ball really well. I think that keeps them around, especially the way Jordan Love is playing. But if it's toe to toe or the Niners are up, as they get into the third quarter, then I think that's when San Francisco, with just their waves of talent and ferocity and their fresh legs, pile on.
Hey, Steve, let me run this by you, and I want to just call myself a representative of the fans because I think the Niners in 19 came out of nowhere and were up 10 in that Super Bowl, and I thought, some different plays were called. They could have won it, but they didn't. And I do respect Kansas City, Baltimore, and the Ravens. But at the end of the day, if somehow the Niners don't win the Super Bowl, and this is mainly for Kyle, do you think it's fair for the Niner fans to feel like, you know what, you look at the state of the NFC right now, they should be there, but is it okay for them to finally say, man, Kyle, when are you going to punch that ticket? Because the team is loaded, as you said, waves of talent.
I mean, you can say that, but anybody who's played this game and been around this game will tell you get to the Super Bowl, it's hard to win. I mean, a lot of things have to break your way. So, that's also you have to step back and take a reality check and say, okay, do we want somebody else in here and have Kyle go someplace else and possibly win one? I mean, these are the things that are all you have to, before you make that knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, it's on the coach and this and that, you have to stand down and realize it's not easy. I grew up in Minneapolis, and you know what happened to our Vikings. For a long time, we were the best team in the NFL in the regular season, and we get to the Super Bowl and lost 4 times. I don't think that took away anything from Bud Grant, the Hall of Fame head coach at that time.
Steve Wyche joining us on 95.7 The Game. He's NFL Network's chief national reporter. When we talk about the Niners and the Packers, what do you expect from the San Francisco 49ers as far as offensively? Because we've seen Kyle Shanahan, if he can be conservative, at least with Jimmy Garoppolo in the past, he has been. What do you sense the 49ers, number one priority is going to be going into that game offensively?
It's the run-pass mix. I mean, look, of course, we know the offense works best when you run it. And you break a team's spirit when you run it on them. And, again, the fresh legs, the offensive line, keeping Brock Purdy throwing the ball 25 to 27 times a game max. That's kind of where his optimum window is. I think that's the plan. So they're going to come out. They're not going to be shy. I think they'll take their shots early when they're there. But establish the run and pound that defense. Make them feel inferior right out of the gate, and then just do what the Niners do. Let the playmakers make plays.
Steve, when you talk about young Jordan Love and just the NFL and all these upstart quarterbacks, I'm looking at C.J. Stroud. How shocked were you, last Sunday with what he did in Dallas and the way that he did it? And has he exceeded your expectations?
He really, to answer the final part of that, first, yes, because all you heard out of Green Bay for years, out of Green Bay from people in the building is, man, we just don't know. We really don't know. Some days you see flashes, this and that. Last year he looked a lot better, and then early in the season, he was kind of spotty, but you saw the talent. You understood right away why they took him where they took him. And then as the season went on, you're like, oh, man, he's doing it. These young receivers in him are coming along well. These tight ends in him, they're meshing. And now you add the run game, what Aaron Jones has been able to do. He has been ridiculous. that's really helped. I mean, think about this. Jordan Love, over the past 5 games, I believe, has 12 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's the key. For a first-time starter to keep those giveaways down like he's doing at crunch time, that says a lot. But again, a lot of it's set up by the run game. Like, that's why they were able to take apart Dallas. They just ran all over them, and then, boom, the big plays showed up in the pass game. And I think that strategy is what they're going to try to employ. We'll see if they can do it against the Niners defense, which is better than any of the defenses they played down the stretch.
Steve Wyche joining us on the Boxer and Gerson guest line. He's the NFL Network's chief national reporter. Let me ask you about, to me, conventional wisdom has the 4 AFC teams better than the 4 NFC teams, even though the Niners might be the best team in the league. What I'm getting at is when you actually look ahead to the Super Bowl, is there anything to gauge knowing that the team that comes out of the AFC will have probably beaten 2 really good teams where, in theory, the Niners have an easier path to the Super Bowl than whoever comes out of the AFC? Or if you don't buy it, you don't buy it.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, I would think the Niners have the easier path. Getting by Green Bay and getting by what I anticipate to be Detroit will not be easy. But, I mean, Buffalo having to beat Kansas City or vice versa is no joke. And the Ravens beating the Texans this week and then getting past, I mean, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at the Ravens and what they've done to, like, every good NFC team they've played, including the Niners, and you say, wow, they're just that good. I'd actually love to see a rematch of that game, because when I watched that game, the Niners were moving the ball on that defense until they got into the interception spree that ran that game, the way it did. But this is why we're here, man. I mean, these final 8 games, divisional weekend, this is where the growing men show up. We'll see if the team coming off the bye can stay off the momentum of some of these teams that played wild card weekend, or they had to really strive and fight to get in. We've seen that work for the way of the wild card teams a lot in NFL playoff history. So I can't wait for the games to get kicked off.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I got to ask you a random question, and it stems around Bill Belichick. I think he's the best football coach I've ever seen, 6 Super Bowls. But I can say, Steve, Brady left, won a Super Bowl somewhere else. His drafts haven't been been hitting, and now he's looking for a job, and I hope he gets one. I'm curious, can you share with us, has his brand taken a hit in your eyes for the time after Brady, or is he still up there where he was when he had Brady to you?
It probably depends on the organization, right? I think put it this way, he probably wasn't the first pick for a lot of these teams with coach vacancies, right? He's only interviewed with a handful of teams. He got a second interview with Atlanta. We heard right out of the gate the Falcons were really going to make a hard push for him. You really haven't heard that from a lot of other teams. So, that's people probably looking at his style. He's going to want to come in and have far-reaching power. They're probably looking at, okay, is he going to bring a lot of coaches from his staff, including Josh McDaniels? We don't know if we want that in our building. So you have those elements there, but then you also have to look at your culture, your locker room, and I hate to say it like this, but the age of the owner. Like Arthur Blank is 81. He wants to go out and get the GOAT and say, our football team is built like a Bill Belichick football team, except we don't have a quarterback. They've got running backs. They've got big skill receivers who can block downfield for the run game, and they got a lot of good defensive players. That sounds like a Bill Belichick roster. So they may be willing, because Arthur Blank knows, I want to win a championship, and I want to get the guy who came back from 28-3 to take one from me to possibly lead my organization.
Steve, great stuff, man. Really appreciate it.
Enjoy the games, man.
We can't wait for this weekend. We know you can't either. Thanks so much for joining us, my man.
Let's get it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Steve Wyche, NFL Network's chief national reporter. He came courtesy of the Boxer and Gerson guest line. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Wyche, WYCHE89.